Yeah, I've got very, very little notes on this.
Yeah. Kat said to me today, she was like, she read somewhere that the first Halloween film came out today, so however many years ago it was. She was like, oh, they should have released that new one today. I was like, no, they shouldn't have released it at all. What's happening, guys? Welcome to our fucking review with the shittest film of the year, Halloween Kills. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast, where every week we talk all things movies and TV. I'm your host, James, and it's just me and Rhys today to talk all about Halloween Kills. I would call this a review, but it's I guess it's more of a warning. So yeah, heads up, we did not like this film. I wish we could have released this sooner to maybe sway people away from going to see this.
I feel it's too late now. I feel like
I think we've waited too long, but maybe that means more people will get involved with the conversation. So set immediately after the events of Halloween 2018, Michael Myers has survived the fire and is once again let loose upon Haddonfield. After his murdering spree begins, the town realize Michael is alive and form a mob to bring him to justice. I think we saw this about a week and a half ago, Rhys.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Quickly, spoiler free. What did you think?
Just awful. It just the worst. It just is like it takes nothing from the original film, as in not the 2018 one, the original
78.
78. The only thing it takes is the characters, and that's it. It just like it's like they were like, we've got an idea to make this story more interesting, but they don't need that. They don't need to do that idea because the story is already interesting.
I think they were on the right tracks with the last film that came out.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I
what
like
they were thinking.
The original one of where he shows up and there's these like 3 or 4 people that he's like fixated on, and he just kind of stalks them through the night.
Yeah,
and it's very like there's lots of build up, and they make him earn his kills in the film. Mm-hmm. I think that makes him a lot more effective. But in these 2 films, it just
a rampage.
Just walks around doing everyone in. You don't care. And it's just like I think it's so boring, and it's just become just these like generic slasher films that you find on like Netflix or Amazon Prime, or like this could have been like a straight to Amazon film.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have watched it.
And no one would have batted an eyelid. But because you slap Halloween on it, you put Michael Myers in it, everyone's like, oh yeah, let's go see it because it's Halloween. And then you go and it's like, this isn't a Halloween film. This is just like
it could have been anyone.
Yeah, you could have put anyone in that position.
I mean, we were very much on the same page on this movie when we walked out of it. I'd say infuriated was the feeling we felt.
Yeah.
I don't think since the last Star Wars I've come out of a film and I was like, the choices just made me so angry. Why did they do this? And I don't really care about Halloween that much. I enjoy the original movie and I liked the last film that came out. So I'm not like protective over Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. I really don't care. But just to make me sit there for an hour and 45 minutes and make these characters do progressively stupider and stupider things, it wound me up.
Either that or it is a genius commentary on the state of America at the moment.
Perhaps.
Maybe that's the point we missed. Maybe that's.
I think that is. I on my list of pros here. One of them is. I thought there was a semi-interesting concept of the mob mentality, and we'll go into when we get into spoilers soon. We'll talk about how the criticism of that mentality. This movie's violent as hell, more so than the last one. Michael's just killing people left and right, putting them in funny positions. It's great, and in that regard, I guess as a gory, violent horror film, where people are just being chucked about. I was like,
if you haven't seen the older one, and you'd only seen that 2018 one. So I suppose for like the new horror audiences,
Yeah.
it's like a fine film because obviously the only idea you have of Michael Myers is from the last film.
Yeah.
But so I feel like, yeah, for new audiences, it's a great film if you love those kind of, you know, gory, violent slasher films.
Yeah. Let's just go. We'll go into spoilers now because there's not much left about this film that I can say without spoiling stuff. But yeah, we did not enjoy this.
I knew it was going to be awful from the moment he ran into that room. Michael Myers never ran a day in his life. That's the point of him. That he's a slow, methodical, like you never see him running around. He just kind of appears and he just sprints into this room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. The characterization of Michael Myers now I feel like it's gone too far.
It's the fact that they've literally turned him into like the boogeyman.
Yeah. But yeah, because it was always, well, I've not seen all of the Halloween sequels, but it was always like, oh, could he be? He's unnaturally strong. He seems to just survive. Like, what is this? Is he some sort of paranormal entity? And I think this movie just took it so far.
Yeah,
in that regard, where I'm like, just kill this man. Just kill this man. Just take his head clean off. Judy Greer, you have him pinned down with a pitchfork. Just cut his head off. What are you doing?
Set on fire.
Shoot him in the face.
Set on fire, stabbed with a pitchfork, shot, stabbed again. I don't know. Did he get run over? Probably gets run over at one point. And it's just like, he just gets up. And I get it. Like, people do find that kind of unstoppable force scary. But I feel like that's what someone like Jason Voorhees is for. Like, we have that in him because he literally is like a guy back from the dead. He is supernatural.
Yeah.
You got Freddy Krueger. You got all that. What was scariest about, I think, Michael Myers is that he was just an ordinary bloke who,
just a messed up dude.
Yeah, he was just a messed up bloke. He was, they say he's like a child trapped in a man's body.
Yeah, with the strength of an animal.
Yeah, and I think that's what made it scary, that he was just.
But now it's like,
but now that
he
he's
gets
just
shot like point blank.
Yeah, and they give
dozens of times
bullshit explanation about how because of the fear around him that he's transcended, and it's just
I don't buy it.
Like, we don't need an explanation to why he keeps coming back, because no one's questioned it before.
No, it's just
and if you don't, if you want to keep coming back, just don't put him in a situation where he gets killed. It's like they did that and they were like, oh shit, we need to dig ourselves out of this hole now.
Well, yeah, because I feel at the end of the last film, I was like, you don't need a sequel. This could have been it. This could have been the swan song for Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. And just let him die. That
was for me one of the only acceptable bits of the film, where like, how does he survive that fire? That he managed to like lock himself,
got behind a shutter,
thing. And I was like, okay,
but if he can survive everything else, then why can't he survive a fire?
Yeah, and I think Jamie Lee Curtis she's brilliant. She always is.
But hardly in this film.
Yeah. They
strapped her to a hospital bed for the entirety of this film.
I get what they're trying to do about having like the kids from the original in it, but older.
But they can't act.
No.
That guy
who plays, the main guy.
What's his name? Anthony Michael Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen him.
He's in The Breakfast Club.
Oh, I didn't.
And he was in The Dark Knight.
But like, I've only ever seen him play like arseholes. Like, I feel like I've probably seen him in like an Adam Sandler film playing like a dickhead. And I feel like that's your role. You're not this like sympathetic bloke who's had a tough time, who's scarred from childhood. It doesn't work.
I love that scene because he's at the bar and he's going through all the victims of Michael, and he's been like, you survived a stabbing or whatever, and you were nearly murdered, and his stories, he simply just saw him.
Yeah, same as the other guy, the other guy who fell over and he stood over him.
Yeah,
it's like, come
that's
on.
him.
And then it's like, you give us these characters, and then you do very little to make us care for them again.
Well, it's because when they die, I'm like, yeah, of course they died.
And then
They've been stupid as hell the entire movie.
And then, there's that whole ridiculous bit where they mistake a man half Michael Myers' size.
Well, yeah. So this is the mob mentality thing I was talking about. So this goes down a dark road where they see a man in a mental, what would you call it?
It's like
inmate.
A uniform. Yeah, they call them uniform, prison uniforms.
Yeah.
Like a jumpsuit.
From a mental institution. Yeah. They see him, but he's about half of Michael's size. He's not wearing his mask, which people know. Michael rarely takes off his mask.
And he's quite a big, he's
a ginormous man. What is he, 6'6"?
Yeah, and this bloke is small, and he's quite fat as well.
5'4". He looks like Danny DeVito in Batman Returns.
Yeah, he does. And I don't understand how anyone.
So this mob mentality goes so far where they're chasing this man through the hospital, and it causes all this frenzy and anarchy, and like Laurie Strode has to kick a guy, and it tears open his stitches, and then this guy ends up jumping from the hospital because he's scared, because he's being chased by a mob. And he dies, and that's like, it's like, it is this criticism on mob mentality, and it's like, this is dangerous. Like the wrong people can get hurt because you're all this confusion and all this anger, it's gonna get the better of you. But again, it's in the film, it comes across as silly, and it's not. They just didn't do it right, because they're all chanting "Evil dies tonight," and every time someone did it, I cracked a little smile because I was like, "This is hilarious."
They have literal doctors throwing people downstairs.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
because of one man has done this,
and it's like, he's done this to us, and it's like, he hasn't.
Get a gun, stand at a normal range, and shoot him.
Don't go right point blank.
Because everyone in this film seems to think, the best way I'm going to get with Michael is if I stand right next to him and then get ready to fire my gun.
Yeah.
No, he can stab you, and he does.
And like we said, we get Jamie Lee Curtis, but then instead of having her, hunt Michael down, which is, the cool thing to do, we have her in this weird forced romance angle.
Yeah.
With the sheriff. And I'm like,
an odd choice for this film. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I like the guy who plays the sheriff, Will
Patton.
Will Patton.
Yeah.
But it's just like, we don't need this. I don't watch Halloween for the love story.
I thought this was the most interesting aspect of the film after seeing it. It took me a couple of days to sort of remember and realize, but the fact that the sheriff, he tells Laurie that, Michael's not after you. This was like, he's been put in positions by other people that makes it seem like he's hunting you. He's not. He doesn't care. He's
that to me
killing
as well,
anyone.
That was, but it kind of seemed like they were like, oh, he just wants to go home. And I'm like, are you trying to make me feel sorry for him?
Yeah.
Like, and then we have this weird, thing of, like, he gets home and there's a couple living in his house now.
Little John and Big John.
Who are fearless.
They're also very high.
Like, one of them, he sees Michael, and he's seen that Michael has murdered his husband.
Michael, and he stands there.
And he just stands there.
Lets Michael slowly walk up to him.
That's the thing with
only Michael Myers does.
Michael Myers, he walks. He's not a very fast bloke. Just run away. There could be so many, like, solved murders if he just ran away. And he does get a pretty cool kill on the boyfriend.
Oh yeah, so he stabs his neck down onto the stair banister and then breaks it.
Oh, but they did nothing.
Repeatedly stabs it onto it.
They did nothing to redeem this boyfriend, who was an asshole in the last film.
Through
his girlfriend's phone in what looked like a bowl of custard.
I remember that now. I think you're right.
And then she turns into a psychopath. If they do another film, right, and they kind of go around, I think it's Halloween 2 or 3, where it's like the niece is the one that's gone a bit mad and starts killing people.
Right.
I think that happens in one of them. I can't remember. If that is like an angle if they do another film and that happens, then I'll be invested. It's slightly interesting. But just like she loses her mind. She goes a bit mad. But I think if you're gonna do it, push it. Make her go batshit insane.
Yeah, she's pretty
to the point where she
bloodthirsty.
is like, essentially square up to
yeah.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. And I feel like there was lots of that in this film where it was like, they could have done something cool and interesting.
And they just went the other way.
And they were just like, we'll put out a film with a franchise name on it. We'll make it bloody, we'll make it gory. Happy days.
I was very unsure of the direction of what they were going for the majority of this film. I was like, because this is making me laugh. And
people were audibly laughing in the cinema.
Yeah, there were people on the same rows as just giggling, and that's what set me off. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah, and just and you could tell those guys on the same row as us.
Yeah,
you could tell they were like horror fans because they all came in their like horror t-shirts.
Yeah,
they I think it was the same for me. I love horror films, and I just feel like it's just a spit in the face.
I love horror movies. I studied horrors in college, and so I'm a big fan of all the tropes, all the cliches. Give me all that.
I think there's a way of
this was barely a concept. This was half an idea, let alone a full feature film.
Like, I just feel like I know tropes and that can get overused or whatever, but I think there's ways of making them interesting.
There is, yeah.
And I just feel like
lean into them.
If I was John Carpenter, I imagine he's dead. Is John Carpenter dead?
No, man, he does the music for these movies.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't fucking know why. I wouldn't want to be associated.
Yeah. Surely he's saying, is he not watching these and being like, this wasn't.
Like, oh.
No.
Like, this is the music. He's like, oh, can I see the film so I know what I'm doing? They're like,
oh, no. We just want vague themes.
Just imagine what you would do and put music to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll get to our ratings. We'll get to our ratings now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A 1. Can I give it lower than a 1? Can I give it a 0.5?
Give it a 0.5 if you want.
0.5.
0.5 out of 5.
There's very little to this film that makes it enjoyable or redeemable. It shits all over the original film and the characters they created. And it's just a load of it's like they had all these ideas and they just chucked them down on a page to see what happened, and it didn't work at all.
I completely agree. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. I thought there was, it began to sort of get onto the whole mob mentality side of things, but the way that came across was just so silly and stupid. So I think, in my head, that concept is there, but the execution of it is terrible. The one interesting thing I found in this film, I only thought about after, which was just how Laurie has, she's put this on herself. If it's her versus Michael, this all comes down to those two. And the sheriff tells her, he's like, no, you're wrong. You've been spending the rest of your whole life fearing this man who's coming back. And he chances are he doesn't even recognize you. Yeah. And you've put that on yourself, and you've given yourself all this fear, and
he could have told her that sooner, though, couldn't he?
He could have. But yeah, obviously, because the doctor from the last film is the one that delivers Michael to Laurie Strode, because he thinks they've got some sort of connection as well.
Also, I'm just going to put out there the awful actor who played Dr. Loomis.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Tom Jones Jr. That's his actual name. Not related to the Tom Jones.
Wow.
His name is Tom Jones Jr. What an awful job he did. The original actor of Dr. Loomis wasn't great.
No.
But that whole bit, terrible.
Has he killed again?
Oh, shut up. Oh.
All right, guys, that's it for our review of Halloween Kills. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. If you're listening audio only, then make sure to tell us your thoughts on the film on Twitter at Keeping It Real UK. From there, you can find links to all of our pages. Make sure you subscribe because we've got a few reviews coming out this week. So make sure to look out for them. Have a great week and keep it real.